the W-K Burnouts studio. I am Christina, joined in-house by Finance Director Dorsey Adams. Dorsey.
Hello.
And Alan behind the scenes. We keep him back there for a reason. So
I know that. I know the reasons.
If only you could see his face right now. Dorsey, how long have you been with WK?
24 years.
Good golly.
Yeah,
So
started when I was 12, believe it or not.
Oh, he's funny. Well, Dorsey, today we kind of want to talk about gap insurance. So you obviously being in the finance industry for 24 years, you would be the person to ask. So tell us, what is gap insurance?
Gap insurance is guaranteed asset protection. Okay. What happens a lot of times, and a lot of people probably already know this, but inequity becomes a problem in a vehicle. And if your vehicle is totaled out due to your fault, someone else's, or an animal, such as a deer, your insurance company may not pay off what you owe on that vehicle.
Okay. So now, if my loan was, just to kind of give an example, $20,000 that I owed on my vehicle, but my value is only $15,000. So the insurance company is going to only value it at $15,000. So gap covers that.
Exactly. Gap will
negative equity of the $5,000.
Gap will cover that negative inequity plus your deductible up to $1,000 in most cases.
Okay. Perfect. And if someone wants gap, who is kind of the perfect candidate to purchase gap?
You know, most people that buy a vehicle are candidates for gap coverage, unless you're putting down a significant amount of money down, either cash or trade-in value. It's always recommended. And, you know, banks, the threshold for them allowing gap is 70% of the value. So they already anticipate, if they allow it for that much equity going into the loan for people to have gap coverage, they know the depreciation factor is up there, and you know, it's encouraged to get.
Got it. So pretty much everybody who is financing a vehicle that is not putting, say, 30, 40, 50% down, which is not very many people do that anymore. Do they?
No,
yeah.
I don't know. A lot of people, you know, come into the store with inequity problems. You know, it's been a good market lately, you know, the inflated values, but you know, there's going to be another side to that, and used car values are going to go down, and you know, this gap is going to become increasingly more important. 1 in 20 vehicles are totaled out. So, you know, it's pretty amazing statistic when you look at it that way.
Yeah.
And also insurance companies are totaling out vehicles far more frequently today because of all the electronics and technology that goes into a vehicle. It becomes too much of a headache for them to try to repair.
Got it. Cheaper
to total it.
So if someone doesn't have gap and their vehicle is totaled because of, you know, in an accident, what happens to that negative equity when they go to buy a new vehicle, because they probably have to replace that, vehicle. So say there's $5,000 that the insurance does not, cover. That doesn't just go away.
No.
What do they do? So if they have that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, the insurance company is going to want free and clear title to that vehicle since they've totaled it out, which is going to leave the customer either you're going to have to come up with out of pocket to pay that balance, or you're going to have to, come back to the dealer and say, well, I need to put on an extra $5,000 on my loan because, I've got to finish paying off a car that's been totaled out, which puts you in a bad situation going into a new loan. So.
Got it. So just because you have car insurance does not mean that your car, if it's totaled, your car just is paid off and you're start fresh.
No, it does not.
Got it.
No.
Okay.
They're going to base it on a trade-in, a wholesale value whenever that vehicle's deemed totaled. Just like when you go back to the dealer to trade in a perfectly good vehicle, we look at a trade value, and that's exactly what the insurance is looking at also.
Got it. I know personally, I was young, probably maybe my third car, and I did not have gap. And my mom was in an accident in my car. And anyways, there was a balance, carried over once the insurance company totaled it. There was a balance to carry over, and I was clueless. I didn't have any idea what I was supposed to do. It was like $3,200 just to pull out of my pocket and pay that. So it was a lot of trial and error and headache trying to figure out how that was, going to get taken care of. So now I don't go without Gap.
Oh no. Of all the products that we offer to protect your investment, Gap is almost, the no-brainer of the bunch because people understand it either happened to them, happened to someone they know that the vehicle's been totaled out, and they get it. Yeah. And there is it's almost, you're selling an intangible, but it almost becomes tangible because people know it firsthand and seen it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if someone, when is Gap available to purchase? Obviously when they buy the car, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Gap coverage, when you go to your dealership to buy the vehicle, which should be W-K, we all hope, that when you go into the finance office, among the products that we offer is the Gap coverage. Gap coverage has to be purchased at the time that you purchase the vehicle because it's part of the bank contract. It's part of the retail installment contract. It has to be included on there. It's not something that you can come back in later and say, oh, I want to do that.
Got it.
So, it's a decision that has to be made when you're doing the loan paperwork on your vehicle. Got it.
Okay. And then if someone that is they were in an accident, does insurance take care of all of that paperwork most of the time, or does the customer need to reach out to W-K or their finance department to find out?
Exactly.
To start the paperwork.
Right. Your insurance company is not going to file a Gap claim for you. It's up to the customer or, myself or Mandy, we're glad to help to get the process started.
Okay.
Make sure you have the right documentation, email off what needs to be done to help with the claim. That's what we're here for. I mean, well-known service. It's not only in the service department, but it's throughout the store. Yeah. Including finance.
Absolutely. Now, if someone says, oh, I don't know if I have Gap, because I know sometimes it can be, when you're buying a vehicle, there's so many things to know and they just need to go back and look at their vehicle contract, correct? Whenever they bought their vehicle, or can they call you or Mandy or any of our finance departments at any of our 4 locations?
Absolutely. We can do a review and make sure, you have it or see where you stand with it. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Anything else that I'm missing on asking about Gap that is important to know?
Well, yeah, maybe talking about, some insurance companies do offer a Gap coverage or a replacement type coverage. And I won't knock that necessarily, but they're protecting their investment, not yours. With Gap insurance that you buy through the dealership, ours, pays, 150% of the value. It's going to cover negative trade equity when you went in to buy the car. Typically, Gap coverages that you purchase through an insurance company are not going to take care of that. Those sort of things.
Okay. That's good to know, because you were talking about before that insurance will, is going to give you trade, like a wholesale value versus, if ours is I say ours, the ones offered through W-K is a different value offer. Are they looking at a different loan to value? Different when you say 150%?
They're probably looking at the same numbers, And one thing to consider, Gap coverage is not a blanket supplement that's just going to take care of everything. If your vehicle's totaled out and you're behind on payments or you've had late charges, Gap's not going to take care of that.
Got it.
Gap, you're not going to walk out with money in your hand. It's just making you whole again. So when you go purchase a new vehicle, you're not in a bad negative situation to where you got to pull from savings or pay for something that you don't own anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So in that, as far as that goes.
Okay, perfect. Because that makes sense, because a friend of mine, she had, deferred payments when sometimes holidays, your bank will call and say, hey, do you want to defer, your whatever payment? Well, then she was in an accident and she had to use her gap and they didn't cover, those payments. And
right.
that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. And one other point about that, if you neglect your car, if you don't take very good care of it, the insurance company, when they send the appraiser out to look at it, I mean, they're going to deduct extra because it has not been taken care of.
Right.
GAP's not going to take care of that either.
Right.
So, I mean, you have to do your part as a consumer to, take care of your vehicle and live up to your responsibility. Like I said, it's a great way to make yourself whole and protect yourself in the event that it does happen.
Got it.
And it does happen often. Very frequently.
Yes. Well, okay. I think that kind of explains it. I mean, GAP is, my personal opinion, again,
almost a must-have.
Yeah. Absolutely. Unless you're paying cash for, a vehicle, then obviously it
doesn't come into play.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Exactly.
But if you're financing or leasing, that's sometimes the banks require it. And it depends on your financing situation, right? But
right.
sometimes
banks will never, no finance person should ever say that a bank requires anything because these are all options that are available to you, no matter if it's GAP, service contracts, maintenance, they're all options.
Got it.
But in today's world with rising costs, they're valuable options.
Right.
And one should take strong consideration when purchasing a car to consider those options.
Okay. Perfect. And that's something that can be wrapped in, goes in the loan, correct? Or is that an out of, or
no, yeah, it goes, now the loan, it can be put into the loan. You don't have to put any money down to pay for it. You can offset the cost by putting that money down for what the GAP cost if you choose, but it is not, it's not a requirement. It is allowed nearly all the time by all lenders.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that I think is very informal because it's a good information to know because a lot of people, especially right now, accidents happen. Deer. I mean, yes, we haven't had snow or anything, but it's going to happen.
It's around the corner.
Yep, it is. And it can happen just like that. So
exactly.
Perfect. Well, Dorsey, thank you.
Thank you.
And, if you found this informative and entertaining, always Dorsey in the beginning. I didn't know Dorsey was so funny. Interesting.
I'm a funny guy. Hit the like button.
What Dorsey said, yes, shares and subscribe, share with your friends because you never know, even if you aren't in the situation where, you need it, maybe family needs to know how important GAP is. So definitely like, subscribe, and share. And we appreciate it. And we will cruise on by and pick you up next week. Bye.
This has been a W-K Burnouts production.